paint outdoors. If it's not too cold, everyone's welcome to stay for the painting part of this event. And so welcome everybody, and I'd like to start off by just saying this exhibit here is mainly, I started this last year, around March, so a little bit over a year, and I was painting indoors. My studio is in my apartment in Allston, and it's a very small studio. And I was kind of really claustrophobic. I didn't really want to, I was tired of painting indoors. I wanted to be outside, so I grabbed my trusty old plein air easel, old French thing that I actually found in the trash. Someone abandoned it, and I rescued it, and I cleaned it up, and I discovered that it works really well. And it still holds up, even though it's a little beat up and there's the paint stains all over it, but it works fine. So, a few years back, I think it was 2006 when I began seriously to paint outdoors. And I had a couple of years where it was trial and error. But last year was really a big breakthrough year for me, so I just decided I was going to get out there and just paint as much as I could outdoors. And what better than just to paint, your own backyard, basically, Allston-Brighton. So I just took to the neighborhoods, the surrounding areas, and just, you wouldn't believe how great, I know Allston because I've been here for 35, 40 years, but this is just so much great scenery, really. The combination of city and urban and rural combo, then you have the Charles River Reservation, down Soldiers Field Road. It's so much great landscapes. I'm primarily a landscape painter. So oils on canvas, very traditional, there's no secret to how I paint. I'm a self-taught painter, but there are so many schools ingrained in my technique and the way I paint, because I'm constantly reading about other painters and how they paint, what palettes are good to use, what equipment and supplies and colors and technique and all that. So it's very, it's easy basically. You can teach yourself if you really like. If you're really dedicated, or if you have I have a real passion for art and painting, so it's easy for me. But it's difficult to paint outdoors. I really found the challenges were tremendous. The wind, and the cold, and the rain. The overcast. And you can't always get those ideal, beautiful, sunny days to be out there. When you get them, it's just poke out there, just get out there, and just start painting. And so most of the time I spend 2-hour sessions out with each painting. Not each painting. I can't finish a painting in 2 hours, but I work on them in 2-hour increments. And sometimes I'll go like 4 or 5 days. So it's approximately 8 to 10 hours, basically, for each canvas. Some of these I've done inside, and they're sort of half inside, half painted outside. So they're not all plein air. Not to be misleading or anything. But some of these, like I think I worked almost completely outdoors with this one. This one's completely outdoors. This one of the first ones that I started in December of 2005, it was extremely cold that day, and it was just so cold. I had the sleeves of my jacket all bundled like this, with 2 pairs of gloves, and I had the paintbrush sticking out of it, and I'm shaking like this. And when I explained this to the experience, my friend said, "It's a good thing you're an impressionist." So, all I could basically do was, And so, but then when the weather gets good, it's great. A lot of this, the corner of Harvard and Brighton Avenue in Allston Village there. Literally, when you set up and paint out there, it's amazing how many people just gather around, just like start asking you questions. Luckily, I didn't. There's no way of knowing how you're going to react to the experience. But when people do come around and ask you questions, I discovered that it was easy just to keep working, just to keep answering their questions. I'd talk while I worked. I discovered that was pretty easy to do. Lucky, I guess, for me that I could do that. But I kind of almost thrive on that. It's sort of like being on stage. It's sort of the musician, taking to the outside. The whole world is a stage. A lot of these are 100% plein air, 2 on the back wall. The car I did in my studio inside from a photograph. the Victorian houses in the corner there, the Brighton Center here, that's right next to the bus stop. This one's from, I did this from a photograph. I did that in my studio. And then this one, I started this outdoors the first day and I finished it indoors because this narrow little place where I was standing was just too dangerous. Cars were whizzing by on both sides of me. I was afraid. I was mostly afraid that the easel was going to blow over, and I was going to try to catch it and get hit by a car or something. You know. Now this isn't a good idea. Maybe I better. So I grabbed the camera and I finished it indoors. This is a picture of from a photograph of Marcella on the blanket. Which, everyone loves this one because it's so. It's it just really captures and it was one of those rare warm days in March, I think, or April, where it's just like this year, but 2 years ago we had almost unbelievable warm weather. The tomato fields is another example of kind of fusing surrealism with just basic realism, realism slash impressionism, I like to call it. The tomato fields are sort of an idea I had from my college art school days. And I had to come up with something, a complementary color class thing. And so I chose the red and the green. I invented these things that don't really exist. Or maybe, genetically modified organisms. Maybe they do exist somewhere, but I haven't really seen them in real life. So it's just in my mind, and I was able to put it on canvas. This is a real scene near the Elliott Street Bridge. And then when you go past that under bridge, the flight path bridge, to the other side. And across the river is Cambridge. This is actually technically Allston. Across the street from St. E's on Cambridge Street, this old Victorian house that I've been saying for years I want to paint that house someday. And I finally got a chance to do that. This boathouse off in the distance. One day I got a call from Channel 5 WCBB, the Chronicle magazine, and they were doing a show, an article on it's an hour program. They had like 8 segments. All people who work and live and play on the Charles River. I don't know, they just contacted me. I don't know how they found out. But anyway, they asked me if I was painting down the Charles. I said, sure, yeah. And they said, where? And I said, such and such a place. And so I got in the car and I drove down to this place. I started painting right away. It was on a Friday and they were going to come with a camera crew on a Monday. So I had to have this sort of, at least a day and a half or 2 days, sort of half finished. So it did look like, like I was on the ball at least, and had it together. What else? This I did from photograph. This one and this well, that was another Twin Donuts. And then this one's, I forget the name, it's a Methodist church, a Congregational church, a Brighton Center. That I was across the street from this little convenience store in front of that bank there. And it was a little piece of shade. I remember doing that, and that wasn't easy because it was the shade. That was good. And then there's a couple of others on the other side there are from one's plein air and one's from a photograph. And then this one on this side. This was another. I asked permission to stand in this guy's yard, and he said, "Oh yeah, sure." And then. I finished this photograph because I wanted to put some people in the picture, and so these girls were doing something with the church, and they were handing out like leaflets for some event. And so I asked them, their parents were there, so I asked if they could walk down. Could I photograph them walking on the sidewalk, just nonchalant and casual? And they agreed to do that. I said I wanted to put them in paint, and so they were, oh yeah, sure. So that's how that happened. Because otherwise that wouldn't have been.
It adds that other dimension.
Yeah. So I hope it works. I wanted to paint the scene also because of the colors. It was the greens, the blues, and the orange, and the sort of bright, vibrant, complementary colors. That's what really grabbed me about this scene. And, so I think I should probably wrap this speaking part.